Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the kitchen here at Markelly Farm. Tonight we're going to do a good old-fashioned fish and chips. So stick with us and we'll show you how we do it. Now the name chips in the fish and chips comes from across the pond. They call any kind of fried potatoes, like French fries, they call them chips. So they're not your run-of-the-mill potato chips out of a bag. But that's where that name comes from. So we're going to start with the potatoes, and then we're going to cook the fish last because the fish takes the shortest amount of time. Now I like to fry in an electric skillet. Reason being, you have a thermostat over here that maintains the temperature of your oil. If you were to cook, say, in a big heavy Dutch oven or something like that, yes, it holds heat well, but you're going to have to use a thermometer and you're going to have to be moving the fire back and forth to maintain your temperature because you're going to get huge spikes if you don't. This does all the work for you. So we've cut our potatoes into French fry size strips, about 3/8 by 3/8, right around in there. And we're going to do a double fry on these French fries. So you can see our light has gone out on our thermostat over here, which means our oil is ready to go. We've got it set at 275 degrees for the first initial fry that we're going to do for 5 minutes. As you're frying your potatoes, you want the oil in the pan deep enough where you're not having to flip your potatoes over. So it's deep frying, and that's the reason why you don't have to flip it, because there's oil all the way around. So we got about another minute on our potatoes. You can see they're frying up real nicely. So while we're waiting, we're getting our breading ready for our fish. I got a cup of flour. And to that, I added a heaping tablespoon of our garlic butter seasoning. It's really good, made by Mike's Seasoning. You can see their website right there if you're interested in it. It's really good. It comes out of Missouri. But it's got everything in it. It's got the garlic. It's got all your seasonings. It's got salt. It's even got like a vinegar powder, it says. I've never heard of vinegar powder, but adds a really good tang to your fish. So we'll get this stirred up. I'm going to put some egg in this dish. So we're going to dip in our seasoned flour first, and then in our egg, and then back into our seasoned flour. And then we're going to let our fish sit on a plate and let the moisture of the fish soak into the coating. So it gives us a much crispier coating when it's fried. Our potatoes are out after 5 minutes. So now we're going to get our fish breaded while we wait for our oil to come up to 350 degrees. We've turned our thermostat up. We'll get the fish breaded, and then we'll get those waiting. So I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to fish. I don't like a really strong, fishy flavored fish. But I really enjoy tilapia. It's got a very mild fish flavor. You don't hardly taste it. It's on par with like catfish or flounder or something like that. It's really mild, and I enjoy it. Now, some people get all upset when you eat tilapia. They say, oh, those are raised in sewer ponds over in Taiwan. Well, if you source your fish and do some research on where they're coming from, you're okay. So let's get on this. Our fish are breaded. So if you didn't understand the process, you're going to put them in flour first, and that attacks the moisture on the outside of the fish, and it gives something for the egg to stick to when you put it in the egg wash. So then you put it in the flour, and then you shake off the excess, coat it real good, back into the egg, back into the flour, back into the egg, back in the flour. So you're doing a double dip after that first initial coating of flour that helps everything stick. So you can see we got a nice breading on here. So now the moisture from the egg and the fish is going to soak into this flour, and it's going to make a really nice crust. And that's why you want to let it sit for a little bit. Now our French fries, you want to let them go to where they're almost room temperature again. and that's where we're at. So our oil's up to 350 now. Let's get these back in the fryer. Now your next question may be, well, why don't commercial places or restaurants double fry their fries? Well, technically they are, because the companies they get their fries from, they do that first fry like we just did, and then they package them and freeze them. So that's already done. So when you throw them in the fryer again, that's when they're getting their second fry. Now, if you've ever had a potato, a French fry, or a chip as they're called, that's got a weird texture to it, it's kind of greasy and it's not crispy on the outside and kind of rubbery, that's only been fried once till it's golden brown, and you don't get that real fluffy interior and the crispy exterior that you get from a double fry. Now, when I fry, some people use like a plate with a paper towel on it to drain their fried foods. I use a cooling rack on top of a cookie sheet because that doesn't allow the heat and the moisture to stay trapped, and it maintains a good crispy texture on the potatoes and the fish. Works very well for fried chicken too. Now the second time you do the frying on your fries, it's more about the color than it is about the time. There's no time limit, but when they're beautifully golden brown, that's when they're done. Check out our beautiful fries. Now as soon as the fries come out of the fryer, you want to salt them. Otherwise the salt does not stick. And French fries without salt are not any good at all. Alright, our light is back on over here, so we're going to wait for that light to go off, and then we're going to roll with our fish fries at the same temp as our French fries. We've got our French fries in a pile now because we don't need them to cool off. So as soon as our fish is done, we're ready to eat. Now if you've ever had fried food that's greasy, the reason it gets greasy is because your oil is not hot enough. If your oil is not hot enough to make the moisture escape the food, it allows the oil to soak into the food, and that's when you get greasy food. It should come out nice and crispy. You want to fry between about 350 and 375. It's usually about the perfect frying temperature for about anything you're doing. So while the fish is frying, Kelly's making our homemade tartar sauce. It's half a cup of mayo, half a cup of finely chopped dill pickles. We use the ones that we can from the garden. And then half a tablespoon of dill, which is also from our garden. And then we use half a teaspoon of lemon juice, half a teaspoon of sugar, an eighth of a teaspoon of black pepper or more to your taste, and 1 tablespoon of really finely chopped onion. The fish is looking beautiful. It only takes a couple minutes per side. The fillets are not thick at all. Fish does not take long to cook. As soon as it's golden brown, it's ready to go. Now when I flip it, I use 2 utensils because I don't want to flip it over and splash oil. Plus the fish gets really tender and delicate as it cooks. It wants to flake apart. So that's why I use kind of 2 utensils to help grab it. So we got about another minute, and then this fish is ready to come out. All right, our fish is done, and right after it comes out of the skillet, we want to lightly salt our fish as well to give it a little bit of that, even though we're seasoned flour already. So there we go. See, our fish is not greasy. It stays crunchy on the outside. Our fries are beautifully done. It's dinner time. All right, we're all done. There's our beautiful fish and chips right there. It's amazing. Can't wait to dig in. So when you're eating fish, it's really good to eat it with something acidic. So some people use lemon juice. Some people use malt vinegar, but using the tartar sauce, it's got the vinegar from the dill pickles in the tartar sauce, so you get a little bit of acid there. So acid really sets off the flavor of the fish. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you make this dish. I hope you see that it's not that hard to make, and you can have really good fish and chips. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Say bye, Cal.
Bye.
Love you guys. See you on the next one.